Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I know you always do it the other way around.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the guidance. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate amendments to the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023, be now considered.
Asante, now you can proceed to justify.
Honorable Speaker, in June of this year, we came before this House as the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and this House actually passed the County Government Additional Allocation Bill then. And the way it should be is that once we consider and pass such kind of a bill, and it proceeds to the Senate, then the Senate should consider, and if there is any amendment on this kind of bill, then the bill should come back to this House, and if there is concurrence, then we proceed. But if we reject, then we go to the mediation. And from the onset, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that the Budget and Appropriations Committee met for the last 2 weeks, and we considered the report from the Senate. And Honorable Speaker, I stand here because the Budget and Appropriations Committee actually rejected the amended version from the Senate. And Honorable Speaker, I want to make it very clear that, and I am repeating just for guidance of this House, that we actually rejected the amended version from the Senate. Honorable Speaker, the additional allocations that we make to the counties are usually conditional and non-conditional allocations. And Honorable Speaker, one of the premises that the Budget and Appropriations Committee actually rejected the amended version from the Senate is specifically number 1 on the library services budget. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are some 33 counties that have previously been considered with conditional grants to the county governments, Honorable Speaker, specifically to take care of the library services, and also insofar as the salaries of the officers in running of those library services is concerned. And Honorable Speaker, what happened is that there has been a case that had been sponsored by our governors for the last few years in regards to what constitutes equitable share. And in that regard, Honorable Speaker, some of these conditional and non-conditional grants were exempted by the courts to be considered under equitable share. Now, what happened is that this House previously passed the non-amended version, Honorable Speaker, that then included that monies for library services. And Honorable Speaker, what happened is that when it proceeded to the Senate, then these monies were actually previously we had allocated equally, Honorable Speaker, because any monies that again goes to the equitable share, then it is subjected to the formula that is made by the CRA. That is the Commission on Revenue Allocation. And Honorable Speaker, then what happened is that when this bill proceeded to the Senate, then the Senate amended that bill by adding 428 billion Kenya shillings, actually 424 billion Kenya shillings, monies then they are considering as conditional grants to the library services. So what literally we are doing is to actually double allocate monies for the library services, because this House actually had allocated that money, then it was divided equally, because once it goes to the equitable share, according to the judgment of the courts, is that these kind of monies then are subjected to the formula. But then, Honorable Speaker, upon proceeding to the Senate, then these monies, again, the Senate proposed to add an equivalent amount. The ramification of this, Honorable Speaker, is that the way we had divided before, using the equitable share is that out of the 33 counties, actually 11 out of those were getting additional monies that they ought to have gotten. And 22 are losing, some of which are losing marginally. Then 14 counties are benefiting from this kitty inadvertently because they are not part of the 33 counties that were previously designed to earn money from this kitty or from these conditional grants. Honorable Speaker, the other area that made us reject the amended version from the Senate is that there are some conditional grants that county governments get from the national government. Now, what the Senate were proposing is that these monies given by the national government should not pass through MDAs, but the county government should get these monies directly. Some of these, Honorable Speaker, is the monies that the national government actually advances to 5 county governments for building of county headquarters for counties that never had existing structures before, and especially in the headquarters. Honorable Speaker, what the Senate are proposing is that in this kind of conditional grants, then the counties should receive monies directly, and therefore we exempt the role of MDAs in terms of oversighting these conditional grants. Honorable Speaker, we want to revert back to what this House passed, and that is why we recommended for the rejection of the amended version of the bill, Honorable Speaker, because number one, we have already appropriated monies for this financial year. And then, when the Senate then returns the bill for us to fund extra monies to a tune of 424 million, Honorable Speaker, this money is not provisioned in the budget, and therefore will be contravening the same appropriations bill that you already passed in this House and that which the Treasury is currently implementing. Honorable Speaker, as I come to the conclusion, I also want to laud our governors, because this is not an issue around governance, and especially county governments. Our governors have continued to do their bit and to work very hard. I also want to laud the Senate, because disagreement does not necessarily mean that there is anything between both houses. It is just a consideration in principle. Our Senate has been doing a great job in terms of supporting devolution. And Honorable Speaker, for this proceed to mediation, it does not mean that there is any house that is looking down on any. We are all equal members of Parliament, and we respect the Senate and the great role they are playing in terms of advancing devolution in Kenya. And this is just a matter of principle that you have appropriated these monies. The monies that are being, the Senate is seeking to introduce is not in the appropriations bill as it is now, and therefore it will be in vain that we actually adopt a report that is suggesting extra resources that are not available. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I wish and I hope that once we proceed to the mediation, we will be able to iron out these small issues so that counties can then receive the monies due to them. Honorable Speaker, I also want to laud this administration led by our President, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. And I'm saying this because, Honorable Speaker, we are doing something unprecedented, that our counties are now receiving monies, and especially equitable share, in time. Honorable Speaker, by the close of the last financial year, we actually crossed over this financial year with no arrears owed to our county governments. And therefore, this is very, very important, because we are actually not just devolving functions. We are also making sure that our esteemed governors are able to discharge their duties without the handicap of illiquidity. Honorable Speaker, also this goes a long way into reducing some of the unnecessary expenses, and especially that which are around interest rates, when, for example, county governments take overdrafts from commercial banks to pay some of the monies that has no luxury to wait, for example, salaries. Honorable Speaker, by advancing monies to our county governments in time, we are reducing on those kind of expenditure, and therefore it is something that is laudable. Honorable Speaker, again, just to repeat, the fact that these houses is rejecting the proposed version from the Senate, this is just part of our job, and it is in no way, Honorable Speaker, trying to undo the work of the Senate. And I'm repeating, just because these houses have been working very harmoniously, we are just rejecting in principle, because there is actually no monies to add, because the appropriations bill is already passed by this house, and therefore we cannot then come back and then pass a bill that is proposing more monies that are not available. I have just repeated that 3 times to buttress the fact that this is just part of our work. We can reject, then we go to mediation, and then we are able to get a way out. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the members of the Budget Committee, the members of this House, our technical team in the Parliamentary Budget Office, led by, of course, Millicent, who is here, with Kyoko, and all the other members who have taken part in coming up with this report. And with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to request the Vice Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Mary Emase, to second.
Give Honorable Emase the mic. Oh, there she is.
Thank you.